The now you call that tacit knowledge?
That's right. So tacit knowledge is your knowledge of experience as opposed to theoretical knowledge, which is what you can learn.
Okay, and how am I? Is that something that I am naturally applying through repetition after repetition after repetition, or is that like?
Yep. It's how if you were to get fully kitted up with all your kit, right? And I were to walk up to you and say, "Why do you put that piece there?" You probably don't have a good answer, but there is a good answer. It's because you've done it 4,000 times and you're like, this is the right way to do it.
So there's a lot of that translates into the mindset of the older folks or the folks that have been doing it a long time to just 100%. Say, well, that's the way we've always done it, or
that's right.
That's just the way I do it, and they cannot change.
That's right.
So how do we with the change in technology and how things are increasing and how SOPs and TTPs are I'm using acronyms again. Standing operating procedures and tactics takes these procedures. I'm saying it for the audience.
Oh, okay.
How do we adapt appropriately?
It's without getting into names, right? There was a former one of your brethren named Bubba. There's a lot of Bubbas, but there's one specific Bubba, right? And Bubba I was outside at one of the selections, and I'm observing him do a selection on a combat controller. And he's like, these guys all suck. They all suck. And I'm like, do they suck now where you are, or do they suck when you were 19? And he was like, oh, good point. They actually are pretty good for when I was 19. In other words, the problem isn't the changing thing. The problem is that we lose a little bit of our humility, a little bit of our curiosity, a little bit of our kindness, right? And this idea that it's our job to to develop the next generation of kids. And we got to do that with a little bit of empathy, right? Like we all sucked at one point, but we usually had some elder in our community that grabbed us by the scruff of the neck and says, come here, I'm going to show you how to do this.
I mean, I don't know how many times we've seen this play out. You get these great team guys that come to where I'm at, to the training command, to be instructors. And I think it's just frustrating for them sometimes because they don't have the words to get the folks to where they need to be. There's a lot of things to unwrap here, right? Like there's the you forgot how much you sucked, and then your version of you going through the processes in your memory is not necessarily accurate. And then it's like, then you forget, like your new normal is like this stage of where you are in life.
Right.
And so when you see these 18-year-old kids come in and they're struggling to do whatever push-ups or man makers and all these other things, like it's frustrating because you want to be able to explain to them how they're messing everything up, what they're doing wrong, and how to make them better. But instead, you just say, suck less.
Right.
Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you be more like me? And I think it's just a frustration thing. We see this happen over and over again. And those same guys, though, by the time they leave the training command, a lot of the times, like we had one of these guys on just the other day, Peaches did, you finally see the whole process. But it takes a long time to get someone there to explain to the students why they're doing what they're doing, why it's so important, and using the correct words to get them from A to B as quickly as possible without just like, wrecking these folks for no reason.
Trenton, it's actually a little bit worse than that, actually. So here's what happens, right, is that you're this amazing operator. You've been out in the field for a while. The reason they're bringing you back to the schoolhouse, in some cases, not always, is because you're really good at what you do. So you have huge confidence because you have huge competence. Then they put you in the schoolhouse, and now all of a sudden you're no longer competent, and you start to lose your confidence. You want it back. So, like, what are the tools in your toolkit? I know, I'll beast these sons of bitches because it was harder in my day. So instead of teaching them, you're like, we'll just beat on them harder. And I see that play over and over and over again. And usually what that means is that the true great candidates are like, I'm not joining this sorority. I'm out of here. So you end up burning your pipeline.